Hello, and welcome to How to Play D&D, the explainer podcast of one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter to discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey, and my spectacular guest this week is Jack Granville, voice actor, and general nerd. Hello.
You read my Instagram profile.
I read it. I was like, I'm not going to mess this up. I'll throw you into the deep end with like every kind of credit you could possibly have to lure you in for the next episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, thank you. How are you doing?
Yes, very well, thank you. I just about got here on time for today, having recovered from yesterday. So yes, all
That's
good.
All good. By the way, Jack's recovery is that he has literally just had a baby shower, not because he's a recovering alcoholic, and we're all just ignore the facts. Yeah. There we go.
It's like my last time of being able to actually drink anything alcoholic. Yeah. Now it's like probably shouldn't at this point, just in case.
Yeah. Oh well, just me then at 10 a.m. on a Sunday. Okay, so Jack, what episode have you chosen to cover this week?
I've chosen to cover everything about the Ranger.
Let's get to it. Okay, so today's topic is Rangers in D&D. Rangers, the class everyone thinks will make them Aragorn, but instead they're still themselves. Isn't that sad for you? Jack, if I purchase a double-decker bus, does that mean I can park it anywhere? And can I charge regulated prices? What am I doing?
Yeah, I am not part of TFL, so I cannot possibly comment, but I would imagine only in designated bus stops. It also would be really funny for you to just park up on a bus stop and then for people to try and get on. Yeah, no, this is just my bus. Sorry.
I love the idea that one, you were polite enough and like welcoming enough to be like, you can have a bus, you can park wherever you want, as long as it's in the right places. But also imagine like a traveling D&D bus where people could get on and play a session as they travel around. How good would that be?
That would be pretty sick. Although you're going to get a lot of people complaining about the dice being cocked or something. Like, no, it's up in the road that caused that.
100%. Yeah. And we will be doing that on purpose. We'll get like some crazy suspension and all sorts to make it difficult. It's called Difficult D&D on a bus.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, to the real questions. Why did you select the Ranger class?
Well, two reasons. One, people, especially from 2014, would say, the Rangers are trap class for new players. And because when I was a new player, I selected the Rangers. So, yeah.
Yeah, I 100% thought the same when I first started. It is the Aragon effect of like, he's a Ranger. You can do fighting and archery, perfect. And then you go, no, this is a completely different thing. They're separate classes to play to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what kind of Ranger subclasses are there? Now, I'm not expecting everything because there's literally hundreds at this point from different compatible systems. Do you have like a general gist of like what we can find, what people use?
Yes. So a lot of them are just taken from 2014 and then updated for the 2024 rules. So you've got like the Hunter and the Beastmaster. They've both been updated. You've also, I think, with the Player's Handbook, got the Gloomstalker, which was originally from, I want to say it was from Xanathar's Guide to Everything originally. And that's been updated to 2024. And there's one more, which I'm just looking up frantically as we speak.
That's absolutely fine.
I'm sure there is one, and the name is not coming to me. Oh, great. I don't have that book anymore. Okay, right. I can find it. But there is one other one.
Whilst we're on the podcast, I'm going to look up more because there is a nice range here. And I think the ones you've said there, it's worth saying on the podcast rather than kind of cutting this and starting again, is because they're the ones that a lot of people pick because they've got like the best abilities quite often, or people hear of those and then they're recommended. But there is a variety out there. I think this is the first class episode that we've recorded for this season, and I think it's important for people to know that there is range, and it's not just with the most popular. So there is one for 2024, which is the Fey Wanderer. I don't know much about the Fey Wanderer though, but I think it's important for people to know that there's options out there. There's also the Winter Walker.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one. That must be from a later book.
Yeah, that's actually just come out. It's the Forgotten Realms, and
Um,
I've just Googled that. So people do you like when you're playing, don't feel like you're stuck to the book. I mean, 2024, and we are covering 2024 classes here. Um, you will it's been a lot has been redacted, a lot has been kind of taken out from the 2014 rules, kind of restarted. People's favorite classes have been kept in, like Hunter, Beastmaster, Gloomstalker, and then kind of worked a little bit to get people started. And then of course, like every business, they'll charge you for that same class you've lost from the 14 in a new book like Forgotten Realms.
yeah, Fey Wonder is also from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything
Yeah,
originally. So
which
that's
is
another one
everyone's
that's been updated.
yeah, like one of everyone's favorite like books, essentially. Like, the expanded rules in that, where everything that offers is such a great book. I highly recommend people to purchase
Mhm.
if you were gonna spend money on it. Okay, so what makes the Ranger class unique?
Well, one of the things with the Ranger, I think that they tried to capture more in 2014, and it just they've obviously revised it for 2024. Was basically being this wilderness wanderer
Mm,
and basically top sort of tracker and explorer. So we had features like I think it was Natural Explorer and Favored Enemy, which were very much like in that Aragorn coded like. Being able to sort of use the terrain and the environment to your advantage. The problem with that was in 2014 was that they were kind of making it so you had to be in specific types of terrain,
mm,
which meant I'm really great when I'm in a forest, and then your campaign is in the Underdark or in an
yeah.
urban setting, and you just can't use that feature at all. So I
Mm,
think they recognized that was an issue because exploration kind of doesn't come into a lot of D&D campaigns, or it didn't. So with 2024, and I think they started this with Tasha's actually when they sort of redid the origin of the Ranger and just changed some features. They've kind of kept that in 2024. So they've still got Favored Enemy, but it works a bit differently now. Favored Enemy now, instead of it being specific types of creatures that you have various benefits, like recalling information about them, or when it comes to hunting them, now basically Favored Enemy means you get Hunter's Mark
yeah.
as a prepared spell without having to add it to your list of spells. Without spending a spell slot, you can cast it a number of times. So this is also a whole thing with the Ranger as well, but I don't know if we want to get onto that in a separate bit. But
Well, yeah.
for now, we're saying like what makes the Ranger unique. So yeah, it's still having that. He's kind of like a splice between a fighter and a druid, with maybe a bit of rogue thrown in there as well. So by blending those together, that kind of gives the Ranger this unique flavor. And I think that he or she or they, the Ranger, I think offers some fun flavor stuff, but also
Mm.
I think there are some unique things that the Ranger can do in terms of spells and such, which other classes can't.
Well, we'll get into that. That's great to lead us on. We've got like kind of the next two questions coming
Mm.
up because it does feel like, I mean, I give the Ranger class so much stick. But I've recently been playing in different campaigns rather than DMing, and people have been picking a Ranger, a specific type of Ranger class, both identical to each other without knowing each other. And I'm sure that will come up later on in the podcast, but in the episode. But there is actually a lot of versatility, and it really comes down to, and this will go back to the questions we're about to answer, talk about. Um, the type of player that plays it almost makes up the class, and in a lot of
Mm.
the time, the class defines how you play it. And I don't think that's necessarily the same for the Ranger, and same for Artificer, which is a way tougher class to make work for people. I mean, I've never touched it. I wouldn't want to. I genuinely wouldn't want to touch it. Um, so let's go into that next question. Is the Ranger class for a certain type of player who hasn't tried it yet? We've both attempted it when we first started. Is there a certain type of player that really works for? Like, does it fit someone who's just martial and they just go in smashing stuff? Is it the kind of person who wants to hold back but be able to cast spells? Is it someone who wants to be sneaky? What kind of person is this class really built for?
Do you know what? I think it's a good sort of like journeyman class where you can try a few different things. You've
Mm,
got that, like you say, that versatility. You can build a ranger in a number of ways. I would probably say a melee ranger might be a bit more risky as a build. You might have to like think a bit more carefully about how to build it. Obviously, they're catered towards a more dex-based build with like being
mm,
a ranger using
yeah.
range. But also you've got that spell casting ability in there as well. So they're very good for enabling stealth, like not just from themselves, but obviously if you've stacked decks, then you're going to be good at stealth anyway. But like
Mm,
there are certain like magic items. I think like Nature's Mantle gives you like hide as a bonus action when you're in like foliage, and that's just a magic item for rangers and druids.
right.
So it's useful for you nature boys. But also the uh yeah, it's good in martial stuff. You've got sorry, the last thing on the stealth mode is obviously Pass Without Trace is a lovely spell, which rangers and druids have for making your party a stealth party. So it means you can dip your toe into spellcasting without fully committing because it's, you know, a Gish build. You've got spellcasting to enable your martial stuff. They're pretty consistent, like damage dealers as well. Like, you know, you've got your basic weapon attacks, and then you've got Hunter's Mark stuff like that on top of it.
Mm,
So I think it's a good one for. I think new players kind of do see the Aragon thing and be like, I want to be Aragon. I'm going to play that. But you can be so much more than that. You can really flavor it as you will, especially if you love animals, right? You just be a Beastmaster, and then you've got a pet that you could go around like with you. That's also really quite. They're quite good. The pets now in
mm,
sorry, the your Beastmaster, your beasts are
yeah.
in 2024. They're quite tanky. So
Well, going back to that stealth bit you said about there, where you can kind of like help your party or help yourself there. What kind of role play does a ranger offer up? I think a lot of people miss that with they're picking their class based around how it will affect them in combat in every way.
mm,
Not as in not everyone wants to go in and be able to just smash everything. Some people go and they're picking the class because they want to be the healer. But like
mm,
a lot of people do the misstep of not building their class around how they'll play it outside of turn-based combat.
yeah.
What kind of role play does a ranger offer up? And I think from seeing these people play recently, offers up quite a lot compared to some other classes.
Yeah, they're really you know, playing into the type, the archetype of a ranger. Like you would be somebody that would be very knowledgeable about, or at least hopefully the roles would help you with
Yeah,
this, but would be quite knowledgeable on certain types of enemies, certain types of terrain, like maybe if especially if your party is like marching through either a dungeon or the wilderness or whatever, like the ranger should, you would hope, come into their own, being able to sort of see if things have passed through this way, and like
mm,
that sort of moody looking into the distance and like you know, describing something you've seen. I think that also you get some, I think there's that rogue kind of lone wolf archetype which
yeah,
some ranger players might lean into, but obviously you're not going to be as roguey as a rogue.
yeah,
That's their class. There are some bits that you can do that are rogue light, but they're not fully rogue things.
mm,
So you can, I think, maybe get a bit of that sort of, nobody understands me, and like,
yeah,
it's just me and me and my dog against the world. Like, there's a bit of that. I think can also be explored with the ranger. And as I say, he's it's very much somebody who's at home at being sort of nomadic, I guess, and that kind
mm,
of works with a lot of adventuring parties. A lot of the time, you know, you're not like, I'm this character and I'm a human based in this particular town and I've spent my whole life there. Normally adventurers seem to be semi-nomadic anyway and moving to different
mm.
places, so the ranger fits in pretty easily into an adventuring party.
Yeah, I guess like with any class, it really is what you make it. You know, outside of the
Mm,
stats, like I don't know, obviously roles come into play, but it's up to you to play it as that kind of like staring out into the distance and kind of like one with myself, not with everyone else. And like you can completely mix it up, but you really do have to put the effort in
mm,
for that class to kind of like bounce off everyone. If that's the case, you know, if it does a bit of everything but not everything, then you really have to be role playing that in a good way for it to stand out and you
for
get the
sure.
most out of that build. Um, okay then, so what subclass would you recommend people try as a ranger?
Okay, so uh, I think it partially depends on what kind of player you are or what
Okay.
kind of character that you want to have. I think like as an introduction to the ranger, the hunter is kind of like the sort of peak range at like standard ranger,
The
the
gateway
gateway
ranger.
ranger. My first ranger was a hunter. That's not
Yeah.
why, but it's like there are some nice martial benefits that you get as a hunter, so they make you a bit better at combat stuff. But
Mm.
also, like it's just it's a nice, easy one to understand the mechanics of. If you're feeling a bit adventurous and you just love animals, do Beastmaster because
Yeah.
you got to remember that you also basically are role playing two characters at that point.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and then equally in combat, you're controlling two different characters, so it's a bit more involved. And plus, you have the heartbreak if your pet ends up unconscious or dead, which is very, very sad. In fact,
Mm.
evil GMs probably will go more for the pets than they will for
A
the
hundred percent.
characters. That's how you get them.
It's good character development. Good character
Yes.
development.
Yes. It's like, well, these are the main characters, but the pets not so much main characters. So
Yeah.
collateral. Like, ugh.
Yeah. 100%.
And then obviously, if you're a bit of an edgelord, darkness, sneaky wanderer, gloomstalker is obviously
There we go. That's the one. That's
gotta
the
be.
one. Yeah, I started out. I tried Hunter, and I was like, this class isn't for me. I've got other
Mm,
things that I think I'd probably get on better with, and that is the case. But Gloomstalker, oh, I've heard about it so many times over the years, and then I've got to experience two players playing that in separate sessions, like weekly, and
mm,
yeah, it's such a good class. I mean, we don't really get into the maths of it on this podcast because it is kind of like an introductory podcast for people mostly, but like. If you're really into the maths and you just kind of want to do that little bit more damage, it seems to have so many kind of multipliers it can add to so much
mhm,
flavor it can add to it. So like off of its base attack, it just does so many things, and it kind of like controls the environment way more in the sense of like
mhm.
how combat is going and like what you can benefit. At least from the experience that I've had.
I
Um,
love the additional spells for Gloomstalker as well. It's very flavorful.
yeah, it's got it really, especially the people that I've played with, like they're very visual. They'll describe things and you really can pick it up. It kind of
Mm.
offers that up quite a lot. But it is very much an edgelord class, it feels. Um, this is the last question. Is there a
Sure.
favorite moment you've experienced as a ranger or DMing for a ranger?
I mean, several, because
Okay.
as I say, I've played a ranger pretty long term. Todd the Gnome Ranger is just he has my heart. And so well, one thing I probably should say on the ranger before like getting into this
Okay.
story actually is I have one as somebody who loves the ranger class, I'm obviously very critical of a lot of things because we love to hate, I guess. The self-hating person will choose a ranger. No, no, no. So one of the issues with the feedback of the 2014 Ranger, apart from like these features that were very situational, so features that like Natural Explorer that if you were in the wrong terrain, you just couldn't use, and that meant you were pretty useless some of the time with those features. Was also there was criticism that spell casting wise, your
Mm.
Ranger is you're fighting for concentration and bonus action spells, and it's always the choice of Hunter's Mark or not Hunter's Mark, and like
Yeah.
it becomes quite a dependent spell. Like if you don't choose Hunter's Mark as a 2014 Ranger, that was a choice. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
wow, that's okay.
Like raw dogging the build, not
Yeah,
not getting
yeah.
involved in anything.
So then like 2024 obviously they took on board that criticism, and before that they brought in like some extra sort of Huntsmark light features for
Mm.
certain subclasses. Anyway, in 2024 they've gone, okay, we can fix this is a problem. So instead of so their fix was basically to make Hunter's Mark a core feature of the class. So
Right.
it's you've still got the problem of, do I choose Hunter's Mark as my
Yeah.
concentration spell or something else?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it hasn't really solved the problem. But anyway, that was a sidebar. The my probably my favorite story with my ranger, with Todd the Ranger, was so he was a hunter ranger. He's vanilla ranger, and we were the party was tracking and then engaged in a fight with a pack of gnolls. and they had like some giant hyenas with them as well. And I was still fairly new to D&D at this point. So I was, I got to grips with the basic mechanics and the rules, but it was getting to that point where I'm like, oh, maybe I can try this. And I really like that stage where you're still like just figuring things out and trying things, and you're not too set in your ways. I think it's important to like go beyond what's written on the sheet and to go,
100%.
could I try this and see what the GM says, and what role is dictated for. So he was a very much an archer build, very much a rangy ranger. So he ended up being charged down by a giant hyena. And I'm in melee with this thing, and I thought, well, my short swords, yeah, they're okay. Maybe I could, but I thought, do you know what? Can I try and like rodeo on the hyena, like, try and break it in like a wild horse?
Yeah.
So I asked the GM, and they look at me like, really? Are you sure? I think there was a very skeptical look on their face, like, okay, right, let's see where this goes, probably hoping I roll a natural one.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I roll a natural 20. So he's like, okay, the GM says to me, so describe what's happening here. Basically, you end up sort of taming and breaking in the hyena. This is now your pet. And so I just had like this, I had the normal hyena stat block for this character. Harry the hyena has been a constant feature of Todd since. So like when I build him for 2024, he's had to be a Beastmaster just so I can have Harry with him.
Incredible.
All came from a dice roll. So
do you know that just shows though kind of like player ingenuity, and then DMs kind of saying yes and rather than saying, if you can, you should never say no. Or just find a workaround so you're not kind of like putting the person down or not.
Matt Mercer, you can certainly try.
Yeah. You don't want people to feel like they can't be creative, and that's exactly why we're playing. So yeah, that's a brilliant story. I absolutely love that. All right, well, thank you very much for today's episode.
Thank you.
Definitely a bit of an eye-opener for me to see what can be done. Also, to meet someone who loves playing a ranger, so rather than kind of
being
underrated.
Yeah, I love an underdog.
Okay, so today's adventure is sadly come to a close. We're back again next week with the topic: when will the sea people rise from the ocean and take our jobs? And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join in the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram at HousePlayDD, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. And also check out Black Mark Clo on Instagram for cool D&D clothing. Jack, where can we find you and what do you do?
You can find me in life online at VOJackUK. Yes, as said at the beginning, I do acting and voice acting. So you might see me on TV occasionally, maybe in the background, maybe not so in the background. Who knows?
I like the idea that when you said in life, I was imagining you like kind of pouting, looking out at the sky, trying to like work out chemtrails or footprints to as a ranger. At
first light on the 5th day at dawn.
Exactly. There we go.
But also, actually, I should say before I go, because I will be crucified if I don't say it. So I run D&D in London. There's a venue called RPG Taverns.
Yes.
I do run games there sometimes, so you may see me there.
Amazing. I actually for Black Mark Clo, they actually bought a big purchase of dice that I've created. So interesting. I'll definitely have to come down to RPG Taverns, and I've heard it's actually an award-winning venue, isn't it? So if you're in, you must be good, Jack. You must be good. So people, look out.
I can't possibly say, but yeah, booking a table. We should do something.
Amazing. Okay. Well, I've been Connor Kinsey,
and I've been Jack.
Sorry, I just put you on the edge there.
Good I was just like drinking water.